I came to St. Petersburg not because life was easy, but because I needed to earn money. In my region, finding a job is a luxury. People often have to pay bribes to secure a position. In a big city like St. Petersburg, workers are always in demand, and the salary by my standards seemed quite good. So I came to work in a warehouse as an order picker, planning to live in a room in a communal apartment. At first, I didn't like the house. I had heard about St. Petersburg's iconic courtyards, those patches of sky between walls, which seem interesting in photos, but being in one is less appealing. The wrought iron gates, the entrance through a narrow passage, it all felt like a dead end. Confined spaces make me uneasy, and the courtyard wasn't clean. Papers and notebooks scattered, soaked in puddles, their handwritten texts unreadable. I didn't like the mess. The house didn't have an elevator, so I dragged my suitcase and backpack up to the 6th floor, panting for breath. When I knocked on the door, no one answered at first. The hallway was dark and long, with rooms on either side. Near a coat rack, I noticed a pile of shoes covered in dust. I called out, "Is anyone here?" An elderly man appeared. He was thin and hunched, almost like a bent nail. His bald head, wrinkled face, and the brown spots on his skin made him look ancient. His teeth were replaced with gilded dental work, and his chest hair was gray. He was dressed in a worn bathrobe, a holey t-shirt, and underwear with stretched-out knees. "Come in, I'll show you the room." I took off my shoes, hung up my jacket, and rolled my suitcase inside. The room was better than the hallway, though old. The furniture and wallpaper were aged, but they had a certain charm. Don't move anything, let everything stay as it is. And I didn't mind. Everything was fine, except for the carpet on the wall, which was frayed and worn. It seemed almost strange that anyone would keep such a thing, but I didn't question it. I paid the old man, and as I was about to leave, he peered into my backpack. "Take whatever you need. Yes, thank you." He took some cereal from my bag and left. I thought to myself, old St. Petersburg woman, food is sacred to them. The kitchen was crowded with people, men and women standing in silence. The old man was stirring a large pot of stew, while the others seemed to be waiting for dinner. I was struck by how many people were there. It made me realize that living in a communal apartment might be difficult. If everyone was sharing the kitchen and the bathroom, it could get cramped. I figured I'd use the bathroom while it wasn't busy. Unfortunately, the bathroom was terrifying. It was old, with a red-stained toilet from rust. The tank hung from the ceiling by a greasy rope. The pipes jutted out, and behind them was a black hole in the wall. It felt like something was watching me from there. I covered it with a piece of plywood I found under the bed in my room. But that wasn't the only problem. When I went back to the kitchen after everyone had left, I noticed a large hole in the wall, just below the ceiling. I stood on a stool to peer inside and saw only darkness. As days passed, an uneasy feeling started to grow inside me. The hole in the kitchen wall seemed to be a symbol of something deeper, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Every creak, every shadow, it all began to fill me with a sense of dread I couldn't shake off. "Don't touch anything!" His voice was shrill. "I told you not to touch anything!" I quickly got off the stool, feeling unsettled. "Okay, I understand," I said, trying to calm him down, although I didn't understand why he was so upset. People were constantly wandering through the corridor. It seemed like everyone lived in separate rooms, but there were probably 5 people in each. I was lucky to have a room to myself. The next morning after a long train ride, I smelled pretty bad and decided to wash up while I had a chance. The shower, though, was a nightmare. The mixer was squeezed between 2 walls, making it impossible to move freely. The water was lukewarm and the light was dim. I barely managed to soap up my hair when I noticed 2 tiles missing from the wall. Through the hole, 2 pale eyes stared at me, watching me as I stood there. I screamed and quickly finished washing. In the hallway, I asked the first woman I saw what was going on in this place. She said the holes in the wall couldn't be closed and they didn't mind being spied on. "I can't help you with anything," she said wearily and walked off. I felt angry and scared. I was tempted to take the money I had given the old man and leave, but where could I go? It was late, and I didn't want to leave until morning when I could ask the workers about better places to stay. I made my bed and lay down, unsure of what to do next. In the communal apartment, silence ruled after 11. No one made noise, no one shuffled behind doors, everyone stayed quietly in their rooms. I was grateful for that, but after I fell asleep I woke up again, unsettled. A presence lingered in the darkness, an oppressive gaze fixed on me. The door was closed, so where was it coming from? I drifted in and out of uneasy sleep until finally, I saw it. A face. A head peeked from behind the carpet on the wall, dull eyes staring, glasses catching the dim light. A cold wave washed over me. I was alone. alone in an unfamiliar room in an unfamiliar city, but someone, or something, was watching me. Terror rooted me in place. That face, it wasn't human. The head was too large, the features stretched and unnatural. Wide, vacant eyes. An open mouth, gaping. I sat up abruptly, fumbling along the wall until my fingers found the switch. Light flooded the room, and in an instant it was gone. The thing had slid behind the carpet, disappearing. The only sign it had been there was the fringe of the fabric, swaying slightly. Heart pounding, I forced myself to move. I pulled the carpet back. Behind it, a hole. A gaping void in the wall, yawning with absolute darkness. Something lived in this apartment, something beyond the people here, something in the walls. And everyone else knew. Someone had to explain this to me. I stumbled out into the corridor, raising my voice. Immediately, an old man in a robe appeared. He hissed at me, urging me back into my room, stepping inside after me. "Quiet," he warned. "You understand now, don't you? We're not the real owners here." His words sent a fresh wave of dread through me. "Then why didn't anyone warn me?" I demanded. The old man scoffed. "Would you have believed us?" I thought about it. "No, I wouldn't have. Not until I saw it for myself." He sighed. "Who sent you here?" I struggled to remember. At the station, someone had handed me a small slip of paper, an ad for a cheap room, no phone number, just an address. The price had seemed too good to pass up. But who had given it to me? I couldn't recall. "I want my money back," I said, my voice shaking. "I'm leaving in the morning." The old man shrugged. "Fine, I'll give it back. Not like I need it." Then his tone softened. "But please, stay calm. He won't touch you yet. Don't make a fuss." Yet? I didn't like the way he said that. As soon as he left, I searched for my phone. It was gone. Had I lost it outside? Had someone taken it? I couldn't sleep. I sat awake until dawn, eyes flicking between the window and the carpet, watching, waiting. When the first light crept into the room, I packed my things, dragging my suitcase into the hallway. The phone was still missing, but at that moment, it didn't seem like the biggest problem anymore. The other tenants emerged from their rooms, forming a silent semicircle around me, watching, waiting. The old man stood among them. "All right, old man," I said. "Give me my money, I'm leaving." The crowd murmured. The two oldest men exchanged a glance. "Don't go," the old man muttered. My stomach dropped. "What do you mean, don't go?" "You think we stay here by choice?" His voice turned sharp. He raised a gnarled finger and pointed. Not at the door, at the hole beside it. A hole I hadn't noticed before, one the size of a person. "If you leave," the old man said, "it will grab you, tear you apart." I turned to the door. The moment I did, something stirred in the dark void. A shape, a massive face, pale and sickly with hollow eyes. Long arms reached out, fingers tipped with yellowed, sharpened nails. I staggered back, tripping over my suitcase, sprawling onto the floor. The tenants watched in silence. The old man sighed. "Now you understand." He helped me up, frail hands trembling with the effort. I barely felt it. "The evil in the walls won't let anyone leave," he explained, leading me back to my room. "We all tried once. It didn't let us go." I didn't believe him. I believe him. But deep inside, a cold part of me knew the truth. The old man studied my backpack. "You brought food?" "We get by," he said. "We ration what new people bring. Grow what we can on the windowsills. Trap sparrows when we're lucky." I barely heard him. My thoughts were spinning. "But," his tone shifted, "eventually you'll need to move to a shared room." I swallowed hard. "Why?" He sighed. "Because, when it gets hungry, it takes one of us. Then a room opens up." My mouth went dry. "You're safe for now," he said. "For now." Then he left me alone. I searched the room again, desperate for my phone. Gone. Maybe someone had taken it the moment I crossed the threshold. No, I refused to accept this. There had to be a way out. I turned to the window. 6th floor, too high to climb down. The courtyard below was empty. Did ever come here? An idea sparked. A note. If I wrote a note and threw it out the window, maybe, just maybe, someone would find it. But then, I remembered the damp, scattered pages near the entrance. Crinkled, abandoned notes, left by those who came before me. Yenya had already tried everything and nothing helped. So I sat in the room the entire day, keeping to myself. I didn't bother to get to know anyone, didn't want to join in. I didn't want to become like them, resigned to everything, doomed. In the evening, the old man brought me a bowl of soup, filled with buckwheat grains and a piece of poultry. I couldn't touch it. The sight of the food made me feel nauseous. At night, the carpet began to shake under the weight of something unseen. Its edges curled and crooked nails grew through the fabric. The head of something, like a grotesque face, emerged from the weave. It was impossible to make sense of its emotions. It just stared at me, its unblinking gaze following my every move. I sat, pulling the blanket tight around my neck, shuddering in horror. The dim, faded eyes of Burr held me in place until dawn, and I didn't sleep. When morning came, the grandfather noticed the soup was untouched. Without a word, he lifted the bowl to his lips, drank it, and left. No one said anything. I wondered how much longer I could endure before the terror and hopelessness drained away my last shred of reason and I became like the others, sitting in the corner, shoulders hunched, staring blankly at the wall, lost to the world. The entire day passed in isolation. I only ventured out to use the toilet, trying to avoid looking through the gap behind the pipes. There was no escaping the feeling that something was watching me. I wondered, what could I do? Was there no way to escape? Had anyone ever truly gotten out? I did nothing, but I was exhausted, physically, mentally. Fear and the loss of spirit had stolen my strength. Eventually I managed to fall into a deep sleep. It was during that sleep that I felt a cold hand touch me. I screamed, thrashing about until I realized it was only the old man. He had come into my room in the middle of the night. I felt a little relief, and with a shaking voice I asked what he wanted. The old man whispered softly in my ear, his breath heavy. "Enough. Let's make a deal. I'll go to the threshold and you won't clean me. They'll grab me. And you, at that moment, you'll run. I'll help you." A chill ran through me at his words. He wanted to help me escape this place. I couldn't believe it. "What about you?" I asked cautiously, fearing his answer. "What will happen to you?" The old man lowered his head, tired eyes deep with sorrow. "I'm weary. Sometimes I think it's better if they take me. They always grab the young, the healthy ones. But I'm still here, living, but afraid. It's time for me to go. I'll distract them and you run away." His offer seemed like a lifeline, like a drowning man grabbing at a piece of driftwood. I couldn't refuse. Without hesitation, I grabbed my sneakers from my suitcase, slipped them on and prepared to leave. "Just don't forget about others," the old man sighed. "Tell them. Everyone." He crossed himself 3 times, muttering a prayer. It was just before dawn, the darkness of the night beginning to fade as the first light of morning seeped in. The old man quietly left the room, and I followed. He moved with slow, deliberate steps, trying not to make a sound as we approached the threshold of the apartment, but as soon as his hand touched the door, long, inhuman arms shot out, grabbing his frail body. It twisted and contorted like a horn. A grotesque head emerged from the gap, its teeth sinking into the old man's side. Its monstrous eyes glowed with hunger. The old man screamed, thrashing in pain as the creature devoured him alive. I had to run, but it felt as if my feet were glued to the floor. My legs wouldn't move. I was paralyzed with fear, knowing that whatever had happened to him would soon happen to me. I'd be twisted, broken, swallowed whole. "Why are you still standing there?" the old man gasped, his voice hoarse. "Run!" And I did. I ran, headlong, desperate. I sprinted past the old man, who was already half consumed, his screams growing fainter as I tore through the door. I stumbled down the stairs, flight after flight, hearing his dying groans echo in my ears. His last words, those chilling cries for me to tell others, haunted me. Even now I can still hear them, etched in my memory. "Tell them about the others, everyone. And now I'm telling you."